An urgent search for a missing Florida mother. Just hours before Michelle Parker vanished, she was seen on national television, appearing on the program The People's Court. She and her former fiancé, the father of her twins, were in a tense face-off. He accused her of throwing away an expensive engagement ring. She accused him of violence. Now her family is making an emotional appeal for her safe return. Here's ABC's Matt Gutman.
This is the defendant.
It seemed like a typical episode of The People's Court.
He gets pretty malicious and vindictive, and he's a mean person, especially when he's been drinking.
33-year-old Michelle Lee Parker and her ex-fiancé Dale Smith bickering over an engagement ring thrown out of a balcony.
And then he said that he wanted his ring. So I took it off, and I threw it at him.
But away from the camera, even their mundane domestic arguments tended to turn violent.
As he grabbed and turned around, he was holding on to me, screaming at me, pointing back up to the stage, going, "Get on that, back up on stage, you know."
Just hours after this episode of The People's Court finally aired last Thursday, Parker vanished. But was her disappearance eerily foreshadowed, or was it an uncanny coincidence?
This is a made-for-the-media kind of case. A couple appears on The People's Court, they're now exes, they're fighting over an engagement ring, and the day the show goes on television, she goes missing?
I ended up smashing my camera on the ground because I was a little angry and I didn't want to.
Boy, you sure showed that camera.
Smith is the father of their 3-year-old twins.
It's been a hell of a roller coaster ride, and it's poison.
Something Parker knew for years. In 2009, she filed and was granted a restraining order against Smith. Parker claimed he, quote, smashed the passenger side window in my SUV, took car seats out, and threw them into the road. His Facebook page lists his education as having, quote, studied death, destruction, terror, and mayhem at the U.S. Marine Corps. But Orlando police say Smith is not a suspect and that he has so far cooperated with investigators.
We're not looking at him. We're looking at everything.
Parker was last seen around 2 p.m. Thursday, dropping her kids off at Smith's home. At about 4 p.m., her brother received a short text from her, but she never showed up for her 6 p.m. bartending shift. Her iPhone last pinged at a cell phone tower at 8 p.m., then total silence. At this point, her 11-year-old calls his grandmother, YVONNE Stewart, to ask, "Where's Mom?"
And her son called and said, "Is Mom at the salon?" We're like, "No, honey. She went to drop off the babies. She should be home. She should be taking a nap." She goes, "Well, I haven't seen her since I got home from school."
On Friday, police found her black Hummer near an Orlando mall she'd rarely visited. And on Sunday, they searched her ex-fiancé's home at a nearby field.
Has she ever disappeared before?
Never.
Has she ever not called or taken a few hours just to be by herself?
No.
Parker's mother, YVONNE Stewart, has been desperately searching for her daughter for 4 days now. Parker was a doting mother who was forced to move back home by economic hardship, and that bitter breakup with Smith, she became a reluctant participant on the show.
It was just so that she wouldn't have to pay for that engagement ring. She said, "That was the most humiliating experience of my life. I don't even ever want to see it."
While it's not clear whether Parker watched that episode of The People's Court, her mother claims one thing seems clear so far.
I know that Dale Smith was the last person to see her alive. The police have investigated, they've talked to him, they've searched everything he owns.
But the timing of Parker's disappearance continues to mystify investigators here.
If it was a random crime, on the day that she happened to be on national television, in this context, that would be an incredible coincidence.
What's your biggest fear right now?
My biggest fear is that Michelle is being held by someone, and if she's hungry, or if she's thirsty, or if she's being drugged and just laying up somewhere, doesn't even know where she is, that's my biggest fear. People do really awful, mean things, and I don't understand it.
Hundreds of friends and volunteers continue to search with no leads. For Nightline, I'm Matt Gutman in Orlando.